Becker, Associate Director of Programs from Achieving the Dream. And we're going to start our Leader College webinar for March shortly. I'm just going to take a few minutes to go over some of the technology, and then I'll pass it over to Carol Lincoln, our Senior Vice President, to go ahead and start the webinar. So on your screen, you should see a control panel. And if you do not see a control panel, it is possibly because it's been minimized. And you can go ahead and pull it back out by going to the Grab tab, which hides and shows the control panel. And so the control panel has a lot of aspects that allow us to make this webinar more interactive. And so that includes an attendee list. And then it also includes a question team where you can type in questions throughout the webinar. And then it also has a place where you can raise your hand. And that is if you'd like to be unmuted to ask a question or give a comment. If everyone could just test that out by clicking on their hand right now to show me that they see that and they can raise it. So you want to click on that hand and go ahead and raise it. Great. So it looks like that's all working there. I see some hands raising. Great. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And then, of course, there are at times some technology trouble that people have, particularly audio trouble. So you want to make sure that you are called in using the appropriate number listed under the audio pane, and that you also put in your audio pin. If there is any trouble, you can always hang up and call back in again. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Carol to go ahead and start the webinar.
Well, thank you so much, Sarah. Always appreciate your help on the technology part, and always appreciate everybody's patience as we strive hard to make the technology do what it always promises it will do. We're really pleased that we're able to get together with you today. We know some of you have had some weather challenges this week, and we hope that most of that is behind you at this point in time, and that you're back at work in relative comfort and safety. On the call this afternoon from our team at Achieving the Dream, we have Sarah, whose voice you've already heard and who always coordinates these sessions so well. Of course, I'm with you. And then Kennard Shirley is our person today who's going to make sure that the technology does as much as we can make it do. And so he's our troubleshooter and our masterminder on technology. There's a name at the bottom of your screen that may be new to you, Leslie Lass. And there's no picture, regretfully. Leslie is so new to the Achieving the Dream team, we haven't yet gotten her corporate headshot, but we will. She's the Director of Programs and Policy. She's working closely with Sarah and Kennard and also with Rachel Singer and others on our team. We're so pleased that she's with us. She is one of you in the sense that her career is long and deep in community colleges. And we were fortunate to recruit her from her most recent position, which was over at the Baltimore City Community College. And so, Leslie, we're so happy that you're with us this afternoon and that you've joined the ATD team. On the next slide, there we go, you'll see our agenda for today. It's our standard format. We'd like to share a little bit of business with you for a few minutes. We've got some shout-outs to leader colleges who've been doing some really great things since we last talked. And then we want to go into today's program that's about peer coaching. And you see on your screen the list of guests who are with us today to talk about the experience they're having in Texas with peer coaching. Sarah is going to be explaining a bit about this initiative. Then we have with us Dr. Martha Ellis, Bill Raffetto, Dee Dee Griffith, and Kathy Kemper from several of the colleges in Texas that are participating in this new activity that we'd like to talk to you about today. So next, on Achieving the Dream business, a couple of things that we'd like you to just take note of. Very, very soon, the team leaders of all the colleges will be receiving a notice from Achieving the Dream about guidelines you can use for preparing your annual report to Achieving the Dream. We're calling it an annual reflection this year because we've modified it considerably in order to make it something that we hope you're going to find to be more meaningful than perhaps you found the annual compliance report in the past. We've taken a look at the old version of what we've asked you to do every year. We've put some advisors together who've been giving us some feedback on how we can make that more user-friendly, how we can cut out maybe some of the questions that aren't as apropos as they once were, how we can restructure this in a way that enables you to have a productive reflection on your past year's work. It would be, when you see the guidelines, you'll see that there's a couple of new things we're asking you to do, but all of them are geared towards having you prepare this by engaging some of your thought leaders and your doers on your campus in an analysis of what have you really accomplished, what have you struggled with in the past year, and what meaning are you making out of the experience you've had in the last 12 months. So watch for that. Also know that some of the things that we're going to ask you to use this year do involve a different kind of technology, an online technology. And if you struggle at all with trying to get any of the things to work out right for you, please immediately let us know. If there are some bugs in the system, we want to get them fixed quickly and make sure that it's as easy as possible for you to complete that reflection this year. There will also be a webinar scheduled for April 4th. It will be recorded in case you can't join us that day, but it'll be an opportunity for our staff to go over the guidelines with you, and you can ask any questions you want about what did we really mean and what are we really expecting of you. You'll have a couple of due dates. There's one piece that's going to be due on April 18th and another due date of May 15th. So just watch for that notice and be aware that there is that April 4th webinar where you can get more information. And also you can always call Sarah and Meredith at ATD to get more help with anything that seems not to be working well for you. We're excited about it. We'd love to have your feedback about whether it does indeed do a better job for you as well as for us. Second thing I wanted to mention was that you know that each year we've been having several colleges present at NISOD. Leader colleges have been taking a lead role in putting together a seminar. This year at the NISOD conference, those colleges that are involved in the Press for Completion work are going to be doing a pre-conference seminar on Sunday. And you know that that Press for Completion project is the Walmart work where colleges are digging deeper into faculty and staff engagement. So do advise your faculty and others who may be going to NISOD about that session. I think they'll find it intriguing. There's also going to be another session where the Texas peer coaching colleges, some of whom you're hearing from today, will be talking about their work, but we don't know the time and date yet, so we'll just watch for that. Third, we wanted to let you know, if some of you missed the great announcement by Mickey Mouse and myself at the Dream this past year of when next year's Dream is going to be, we wanted to let you know, make sure to put it on your calendar. We already have the venue selected and the dates picked out. February 24 to 27 in Orlando is where Dream 2014 will occur. You just should note that normally we run Dream from Tuesday to Friday, and I believe next year it's going to shift from Monday to Thursday. So just note that on your calendars. We hope you've gotten enough advance notice this time that this will make it easier for you to plan your travel to that event. Next slide offers a bit about some of the things that leader colleges have been doing. There's a remarkable statistic. We realized that all of the leader colleges in Achieving the Dream did one or more presentations at this year's DREAM event. And we are so, so pleased and thankful for you for doing that. That's important that those of you who've had the greatest experience are willing and able to share what you've learned with others who are eager to have similar progress and success on their own campuses. So thank you all for that. And then secondly, the other big piece of news for us is that there were 21 colleges, I believe, who needed to be recertified as leader colleges this year. Whoops, I'm jumping ahead of myself, aren't I? I see on the screen, it actually, oh, thank you. Just stop the screen someplace and I'll catch up with the screen. Let me pick up on the second bullet on this one. We wanted to give a shout out to Alamo, Community College of Allegheny County, and also Community College of Baltimore County, because they are among several in the country that's been selected to participate in Phase 2 of AACU's new initiative called Developing a Community College Student Roadmap. That effort is designed to help community colleges create integrated roadmaps that support both student persistence and higher levels of achievement. So we're really, really pleased and proud that Achieving the Dream institutions are going to be part of that effort and over time able to bring some of those lessons more deeply into our own network. And then I want to congratulate the 20 colleges that were up for their 3-year recertification this year. The list on the screen are those that successfully met the criteria for recertification. And this is really special because it was harder to get recertified than it was to get certified in the first place. The data requirements were ramped up. The expectations were higher in terms of commitments to equity and other kinds of things that you did in the practice. And so it really is remarkable achievement and well-deserved praise for these colleges who have been able to accomplish that higher level of achievement, and they're now continuing as leader colleges. With that, I want to transition to our program and get us started on the topic for today. Today's topic is college-to-college peer coaching, and the guests whose pictures are on the screen, whose names I've already mentioned, are the ones who are going to be talking about this year-long effort that they've been engaged in. TG is a funder in Texas who supported a proposal from Achieving the Dream to start experimenting with how leader colleges could be coaching other institutions about some of the interventions and strategies that the leader colleges have found effective on their campus. Each of the colleges are paired with 2 other institutions that they're working with for a year. And you know, it was probably a year ago, we had a webinar where several of you presented on how you do a good site visit or plan a good site visit for another college coming to learn from you. These folks are doing site visits and hosting other colleges, but they're actually taking this work to the next level, because not only are they hosting, but they're also staying in close touch with these colleges for at least a year to do some continuing follow-up coaching and problem solving with them as those colleges attempt to take some of those lessons back and implement them on their own campus. So we're excited today to be able to have a report on how this is going and some of the things these folks are learning about the do's and the don'ts of helping your colleagues adopt some of your more effective practices. With that, I'm going to turn it over to the team that's presenting, and if it's Martha who talks first, then Martha, you're the one, and if it's not, then whoever else is planning to go first, maybe it's Sarah, whomever, would you please get us started?
Sure. Thank you, Carol. This is Sarah Hollister. So I'm going to just briefly go over, Carol described very well kind of the history of how this what we're calling the Texas Peer Coaching Initiative project got started, and it is supported through a very generous support from TG. So I'm just going to briefly go over some of the goals and the activities involved in the project, and then turn it over to the colleges to talk about their experiences. So as Carol mentioned, we really wanted to look at how to enhance the overall student success movement at Texas community colleges, and to accelerate this through the transfer of effective practices from college to college through this peer coaching framework. And so this is, twofold. It's to transfer student success strategies and share among colleges in Texas, but it's also to inform Achieving the Dream about how we can best develop a peer coaching framework for colleges throughout our network, so that we can begin to expedite the knowledge transfer within the Achieving the Dream network. So, sorry, there you go. Sorry about that. So this is just a brief overview of the activities involved in the year-long project. It is a tight time frame, and we do have all of our colleges working very hard. And as Carol mentioned, it includes the site visit, which is when what we're calling the peer colleges go to visit the leader college. And each leader college that is participating in this initiative in Texas is paired with 2 other colleges. One that's a community college that's currently in the Achieving the Dream network in Texas, and a college that is not currently in the Achieving the Dream network in Texas. So this is an opportunity for the leader college and the peer college to not only interact with each other, but to have a little cohort of these 3 colleges working together, and then, of course, the larger Texas Peer Coaching Initiative network to be also working together on the development of this peer coaching model. And then, of course, there is that ongoing communication throughout the year. So with that kind of background knowledge, I'm going to turn it over to Martha Ellis, who's been helping us with this project. I think you all know Martha. She's a leadership coach in our network and in the Texas area, and has been involved in the community college world in Texas and throughout the nation for a long time. So we're very fortunate to have her supporting this work. Martha?
Thanks, Sarah. It's great to be on the call and the webinar with everyone. As leader colleges, all of you are very familiar with coaching, and particularly because you have leadership and data coaches. I think one of the things that I wanted to start with is the difference between your current coaching model that you're familiar with and what the peer coaching model is that we're using in the Texas Peer Coaching Initiative. When you're working with your coaches now, you're working on organizational change, and they've really been working with you as you change your culture to be more data-driven and inquiry-based, looking at system and policy changes, and it's really a long-term relationship that you have with these coaches. What we're seeing with the Texas Peer Coaching Initiative is more of a solution-based coaching model. This is much more short-term. It centers around promising practices, strategies, solutions to problems, new options to situations, and really trying to build a learning collaboration between the institutions. The coaching strategies that the leader colleges are using with the peer colleges are basically strategies that, first of all, focus on asking. Sarah's talked about the visits that the peer colleges have to the leader colleges, but before there's visits, the leader college has conversations with the peer colleges regarding what's important to them, what helpful questions do they need answered, what are their primary problem areas that they've identified around student success. So the coaching strategy is to ask a lot of really helpful questions, but also to listen intently to what are the needs of those peer colleges as they describe it. And once that's been established, then they can really set up the team visit to assist. And so the second strategy is really assisting the colleges with resources, providing them with examples of data, strategies that have worked, strategies that haven't worked and why, what a strategy looks like in the field and on the ground, and hearing from faculty and students and administrators about how these processes were set up. So really assisting the college in not only learning about the strategy, but also learning about the processes behind those strategies to make it work. And then the third strategy is assisting, after assisting, is to affirm. As all of us know, once we get started in this work, many times we need a lot of encouragement, a lot of motivation as we're moving forward, but also that ongoing feedback. So the helpful feedback during the experimentation stage of trying to implement what worked well on a Leader College campus to what works well on my campus as a peer college is really important. So what can I help that peer college observe? What do I see? How do I articulate for them what I'm observing and how it works? Asking significant questions along the way. Really providing them, again, with a lot of feedback that really motivates and also encourages. But I think one of the things that we found in this affirming and assisting process as the Leader Colleges are working with the peer colleges is how much the Leader Colleges are learning from the peer colleges. This true learning collaboration is being set up through the process of the coaching strategies, which actually helps all of us to advocate for student success together and to really help us solve the problems that our students are facing and to help them be more successful, not only in completing a degree, but also being real student learners to be successful in the goals that they are wanting to achieve for themselves and for their futures. And with that, I think what you're really wanting to hear from are the two Leader Colleges that we have today. So I will turn it over to San Jacinto College and to Bill Raffetto to talk a little bit about the process on the ground.
Well, San Jacinto College was indeed very, very fortunate to have been partnered with two outstanding institutions, Temple College, located in Central Texas, and then Collin College, which is up in the Dallas area. I'm going to echo what Martha just said. The communication really begins long before the institutions visit your campus. When you begin to develop your agenda for the two-day visit, that needs to be done in really a collaborative process. And so we had multiple phone calls and emails back and forth between my college and our partner colleges in terms of what really, what do you really want to visit about? What should be the agenda? Or what initiatives should we examine? So I think that's very, very important. And so at the time the visit occurs, everybody has had a part in making up that agenda, and everybody knows exactly the schedule for the two-day visit, and I think that was really important. And of course, what we try to do, the second bullet point you're looking at, is we try to connect each discussion session with the enhancement of student success. What's really working for students? At the end of the day, it's not how the college is experiencing our students. It should be about how the students experience the institution. And so regardless of the topic on the agenda, the focus of that discussion should be in what ways can we enhance the probability of student success. And basically, I think that's the zeitgeist of our institutions and of achieving the dream. The third point I'm going to make is, when you're having these dialogues, you share the good and not so good. It's really not show and tell. What we wanted to do was have an honest, candid conversation with our partner institutions, our peer institutions, about here's some of the things we've tried, and here's some things we would do differently. Okay, this seems to have worked for us. Perhaps we didn't have quite the success we wanted on this initiative. And those institutions, both Temple and Collin, they felt comfortable doing the same thing. We felt it was important from the beginning that the visiting team and our host team should include people from both instruction, student services, and research. So our visitors at our institution, they included full-time faculty members, they included counselors and advisors, they included administration, and then of course the data people. And the host team that we had available, same thing. We had faculty on it, we had student development people and counselors, and then we actually had an hour and a half with our Director of Institutional Research, George Gonzalez, presented our data. So we felt that was very, very important. And because our topics, they visit us for, a day and a half. And of course, we provided a tour of the campus. And then the first day, we really focused on an overview of our math initiatives. Okay, and obviously the faculty were very, very interested in that. We had lengthy talks about data. And then the second day, we really focused on more of the student services components. So we talked about freshman orientation, the first year experience, and then some other initiatives. We also talked about, our elimination of late registration and a concept we call pay as you go. So it should be a good blend. One of the things we learned, and it was just so evident to everybody in the room, is our use of students and faculty in discussions. The first day we brought in, I think, 9 students, all of whom were enrolled in various developmental math courses and programs, and they brought their instructors with them. And as soon as they sat down and began to talk, you could just see the energy pick up. I was very, very proud of our students. They were articulate and they were candid. They talked about their challenges. Of course, as we all know, math is an obstacle and a challenge for so many students. But you could just see the dialogue really intensify as soon as our students were in the room. So I would suggest that, those of you that are contemplating a partnership like this, definitely utilize students and faculty. And I guess basically the last thing we learned is to avoid the sage on the stage approach. When I say the sage on the stage approach, we've all had professors that basically utilize the lecture method. Okay, some of them are quite good, and candidly, I've had a few professors in my undergraduate and graduate days. They were a sure cure for insomnia. Okay, and we didn't want to do that. We, as a host institution, we didn't want to just be presenting. We wanted to have a conversation, a dialogue, and to make it as interactive as possible. And then we also left time for open discussion. We had it very, very organized. When our institutions got here, we literally had to schedule down to the minute about what we would be discussing, but we left appropriate time just for what I called open discussions, because things just naturally come up in the course of those kind of meetings. So at the end of the day, it was really a wonderful opportunity for my institution to talk shop with highly dedicated professionals. It was a lot of fun. We learned a lot from our peer institutions. Hopefully they learned some things from us, and we're looking forward to a continuing relationship with both of those institutions. And essentially, that's kind of my observations for the morning.
Thanks so much, Bill. So next we will we'll hear from Lee College, and I think we have Dee Dee and Kathy there. Are you guys there?
Yeah. We are.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. Well, we're from Lee College, and we are located on the Texas Gulf Coast, just east of Houston, for those of you who are not from Texas. And we serve a pretty highly industrialized population here, as does San Jacinto College. And we want to talk about our key strategies for success in terms of how we got started. First of all, our president initiated contact with the presidents of both Amarillo and Angelina colleges, and we had a discussion before that contact where our team, who had been to the TIPSY convening, had decided that we really wanted to make sure that this didn't come off as Lee College is going to show you how it's done. So we discussed how we were going to extend this invitation in a way that it was going to be a level playing field and everybody was going to share and learn from each other. And that was a very successful approach, and both presidents from Amarillo and Angelina were very excited to get on board and send teams. The 3 presidents then identified who their lead people were going to be, and it turned out to be the chief academic officers for each of the 3 colleges. The 3 of us communicated by phone and online, and we identified the topics with the greatest potential for impact based on input from our own faculty and staff and what it was they felt like they needed to know. Part of that had to be done by looking online and seeing what those colleges were doing a little bit of research. Some of us had, for instance, we had heard Amarillo College present at a conference and really liked something that we heard from them, and it seemed like something that might be good for us as well, so we asked them to present that. So the identification of topics went very quickly. We identified more than we could possibly cover and had to narrow the field. Then we started planning our site visit, which was here at Lee College. We had to identify a planning team here on campus who would handle the logistics, because it is a big job to invite another college and host them and make sure you do it in a very positive and professional way. And I was very fortunate that Dee Dee led that initiative, and we had some great people working on that team. We developed a shared agenda. We worked with the other schools to identify who the appropriate people were that needed to travel from Amarillo and Angelina to come to Lee College. It was a big trip for Amarillo, because that was an air flight into Houston, and we wanted to make sure that we were going to get the most bang for our buck by having the right people in place. And as it turned out, based on the topics that were selected, we had a very broad representation from all three colleges of administrators, student affairs people, academic affairs people. The one thing that we regret not having is students, and in the future we would like to do that. We had two presidents. Our president here from Lee College, the president of Amarillo College were there, all three of the chief academic officers, and then faculty, administration, and staff. We started on Thursday night when our guests arrived by hosting a pre-site visit reception at a local restaurant. It was a very cold night, and it was a very warm atmosphere, complete with a fireplace and wine and beer, and just a very nice, relaxed atmosphere where we could all kind of break the ice and get to know one another. And I feel that that was very, very important, because we needed, before we expected people to expose the good, the bad, and the ugly, as you know, you really have to have kind of a relationship first. So that evening of just relationship building, just talking to each other was very, very positive and helped set the tone for a really good day the next day. We wanted to promote transparency, and that really paved the way for a good work day on Friday. It was also really good for our faculty to be able to interact with faculty from other colleges, both in a really informal setting at the reception, and then at a slightly more formal setting in our workshop, to just see that everybody's struggling with the same things. We're all struggling with the same student issues, and all of us being from Texas, we're struggling also with the same financial constraints and legislative issues, et cetera. So it was really great exchange between our employees. And I think that relationship building was key in part to the success of this event. I'm going to turn it over to Dee Dee now, and I'm going to let her go through some of the details of the event itself.
Hi. So the day of the actual site visit, we continued to emphasize that peer relationship by we structured the day so that each college presented an equal amount of time, and both of those traveling colleges and us as well presented two separate breakout sessions. We did go first, and the reason was not to establish a level of superiority, but instead actually to sort of model that level of transparency that we hoped they would get comfortable with. We did share some discussions about how difficult data has been and continues to be for us in some ways a challenge, and some of those really sort of courageous conversations that were really tough in the beginning. And it's interesting to see how far you've come along as a Leader College. Some of those early conversations, you forget how difficult those were until you share some of those experiences with people that are new at it. We hosted the breakout sessions in our studio labs, which is part of some of our initiatives, so that was very helpful for them to experience it firsthand, what the students experienced. We provided some resources prior to their visit. Everyone shared their presentations and materials with me, and I put them in a Dropbox so that everyone was able to see those prior to the event. I placed them on a flash drive so everyone left with those as well. Also gave them we created a program with everyone who was attending and all their contact information. So as soon as they arrived on campus, they were handed that information, and they kind of could put faces with names and refer back to it if they didn't remember who they were talking to, and could make notes on that as well. We provided, I think, a really important time was we provided a separate opportunity for leadership to have lunch together. After having the morning sessions, it was apparent that there were some discussions that probably needed to be made in privacy so they could talk about some of the challenges leadership-wise that come with some of the transformation that Achieving the Dream basically promotes on your campus. And then while the leadership was having lunch, we had faculty have a little bit of fun, and we gave mixed-up tables of faculty from each institution a large baggie full of mixed Legos. And so it was kind of the theme of the day with all the presentations was constructing an experience of success for your student. And some of them were rebuilding whole programs and rebuilding gatekeeper courses and such. So we use the Legos as a metaphor for our students. They come to us sort of as a mixed bag and with different backgrounds, and they don't always fit together, but that's kind of our job to put those pieces together for them to have a successful experience. So those faculty were asked to work together and create a model that demonstrated success for them. And some of them took it very literal, and they built a village, and some of them really spent some time on it and made some creative models about levels of success and people using swords to fight off ignorance, and it was quite really engaging and built a team. So I think everyone enjoyed it so far. We've gotten great feedback.
Great, thanks so much, Dee Dee. I really appreciate that. We're going to go ahead and show a video. It's only about 2 minutes that Lee did about their visit, and then we're going to move on to some discussion. So hopefully you all can, there we go, see that coming up. Go ahead and play that, Kamar.
Leader College in Achieving the Dream, and we were selected to receive a small grant to bring 2 colleges to campus, the purpose of which is to share best practices.
It's a great opportunity for 3 Achieving the Dream schools, Amarillo College, Lee College, and Angelina College, to get together with our faculty and share ideas. What are we doing at our institutions to help students succeed? All of the community colleges in Texas, and even throughout the nation, have the same issues.
Something we're all doing, and we all have different takes on it, and we can all learn from each other. So they're here to do sponges, to absorb, and then take back to their college.
Absolutely. We're walking away with notes. We're walking away with new friendships and relationships. We're walking away with some best practices. And that's why it's so critically important that we have these conversations, because we're doing some good things, but there's some things that we're not doing that we could be, and we're learning that from Amarillo and Angelina.
I got extremely motivated listening to the other vice presidents today, what kinds of initiatives they're doing in their colleges. And you come away with great ideas. You come away completely jazzed up to get going.
It's been a marvelous opportunity for us to learn from each other. It's been a very, very informative and a fun experience.
I think the partnerships are the only way that we're going to achieve great student success and meet the outcomes that we know are critical.
And the most important thing that we do is do everything we possibly can to remove barriers so that our students can succeed. So that's what we're all about.
Great, thanks so much. So I think now, and that's a fabulous video that we are really happy that Lee College made, and I think a great way to show the value of this partnership. Right now, I just want to go ahead and turn it over to questions to see if there are any particular questions about the Texas Peer Coaching Initiative or peer coaching in general. So as a reminder, you can ask a question by raising your hand or typing it into the question pane. So far, I'm not getting any questions.
Sarah, this is Carol. I've got a question for folks.
Sure.
I'm really pleased to hear you talk so positively about this because we weren't really sure. This was an experiment. We weren't really sure how it would go and how much of a burden it would feel like to the host college. You only had a small amount of money to do this. You basically had $10,000 to help offset some of the cost of hosting and so forth. So we know this was not a big money deal. Going forward, if you didn't have that resource, that $10,000 from the outside, knowing what you know now, would you still do this? Would you invest your own resources in trying to build this kind of relationship and play this role? Do you think that's something that you want to continue, or is it going to take that kind of support from an outsider where you have the realistic problem of having to meet certain expenses?
Anyone want to weigh in on that?
I would.
This is Kathy. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I would just like to say from the standpoint of Lee College, I believe that we probably would not have been able to host two colleges. Angelina's not that far away, and they drove. We might have been able to do it with them, but I don't see how we would have been able to have afforded to bring Amarillo College to the table. And they brought 13 people. So the size of the group that we were able to bring from each of the colleges was very instrumental in making it a success and creating a lot of energy within all three institutions to continue to get together whenever we can.
From the standpoint of San Jacinto College, one of our institutions is from the Dallas area, so the majority of our expenses really went for their travel, their flight down here, putting them up in a hotel. We would be interested, even if it was on our institutional money, we would be interested in continuing to do things like this. We would probably have to be selective in terms of the location of the college, though. But if an institution wanted to partner with us and they would split the expenses, we'd be very, very much interested in it. We thought it was a great investment of our time, and we thought it was a learning experience, so we would probably continue to pursue it. We would have to be selective regarding the number of visitors and and where were they coming from.
Well, this is Carol again.
Carol?
Yeah, this is Carol again. We're really interested in your reactions to this because we're trying to think beyond just the experiment in Texas and think about, should this be built in as part of the Achieving the Dream model going forward? Should there be a way of better connecting colleges both inside the network and on the outside of the network so that we can more quickly disseminate best thinking and practices? So this is a great experiment for us, and we're trying some other things in some other places, but really want to figure out what's the value and what's the willingness of colleges, how you're seeing the return on investment. And I heard you say a number of things already, such as you learned as much as you think you imparted to your colleagues at the other institutions, that your reflections gave you an opportunity to see how far you had come and to remember some of the ups and downs of the journey that you've been on, which it just kind of reinforces the good feeling that you're where you are now. So if there's any other kind of insights about what works well and how it ought to be integrated into the ongoing practice of Achieving the Dream, we're all ears. Would love to know more about your thoughts.
Carol, this is Martha. One thing that we've seen in working with the leader colleges, and in some instances with the peer colleges, is also the site visit was sort of the seminal event, the key event, but the ongoing collaboration that's being set up. And so I think it'll be interesting to see in 6 months how that has developed and some ways to do that in light of limited resources of how to best utilize technology and also ongoing conferences to continue the collaboration once the relationship has been built.
I think when you're talking about working with folks in the same region, the same state, that is exactly the opportunity you have if you show up at some of the same association meetings or whatever. And it's probably going to be more difficult if we think about this across state or regional lines.
Yeah, thanks so much for weighing in on that. It kind of addresses some of the questions that I've gotten here in the question pane. And basically, you know, some of the questions are, will this be scaled within the Achieving the Dream Network? And then another question was in regards to the follow-up coaching that happens with colleges after the site visit. And so I think Martha Ellis, you know, touched on that and how in the next 6 months we're going to see more of that. And we'll be sure to get back to you all about what we find. We are coming towards the end of our time, but I do want to give Paula Taylor an opportunity to weigh in if she'd like. Paula, I'm going to unmute you. Paula is a representative of Temple College, which just recently became a leader college, but is through the TISTE project, a peer college of San Jacinto. So, Paula, can you are you there? Can you go ahead and say something?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can. Great. Paula, do you want to just say a few words? I know we're tight on time, but about the experience of being a peer college in this?
Yes. I mean, the whole experience was priceless. Actually getting to go to the site to see the student success in action, I mean, talking to the students, seeing the way they, you know, things are set up. For us, we go to numerous conferences and see presentations, but how often do you actually get to go into those success pockets and see how they actually work in action? So just seeing the students and the faculty and all the members of administration was a lot for us to take back to our institution. And we've continued the talks with little ideas that we can implement here and there. So the whole process was just priceless, and it's a wonderful thing to continue.
Great. Thank you so much, Paula. We really appreciate you weighing in on that. Carol, I think we are short in time. I will definitely go ahead and send out this webinar. And just so you know, there are some kind of questions here that perhaps we'll set up in a survey of some sort, because we'd love to get your input on it. And that way we can distribute it and get your feedback and maybe report back to you. But Carol, do you want to go ahead and move forward with wrapping up?
Sure. Just a couple of notes for everybody. First of all, thanks so much to the folks that were presenting today and for the good work you're doing. There's a couple of notes on your screen that we are changing a few of the dates of the next several webinars because of events that are coming up in April and May. So if you will, just please mark your calendar. The next Leader College webinar is going to be on April 11th. We're going to be talking about Year Up, a program that some of you heard about at DREAM, where students at the high school level are being prepared for their future beyond high school, including community college partnership. And these are young people who are coming from very low income circumstances and circumstances that have not had them on a steady track towards post-secondary education. So we will do that then, and then on May 9th we will have the May Leader College webinar. We haven't picked the topic yet. If you've got some things that you'd like to be covered there, give Sarah a note and she'll put them in the queue for being on the Leader College agenda. That's about it from me. Thank you so much to everyone. If you still have questions about today's program, you can still send them to Sarah. She'll make sure that the folks who were presenting today get those questions and get answers back to you. Is that right, Sarah?
That's correct. Thanks so much, Carol. I think we're done with this webinar, and as Carol said before, please always feel free to contact me if there's a topic that you want covered on the Leader College webinar. Thanks so much, everyone, and we'll talk to you next month.
The organizer has ended the session, and this call will be disconnected. Goodbye.